Okay, so welcome back. This is part 2 of my June-July update for 2018. Angela Para Disney on Facebook and YouTube with backup profiles and channels. Angie Para Disney on Facebook and YouTube, and angelascashes.org is my blog. So I'm doing the update in little chunks because they're all fairly explosive. And they all warrant not just an overview, which I'm giving at this stage, but more attention. So the second subject I've got written down to address is about a man called BINNIAM Brown, who at the age of 6 was taken by social services. And in my opinion, well, I'm not going to give opinions. I'm going to stick to facts for now. He would now be 26, and his mother still can't find him. And the reason I likened this in some ways to the case of Eugene Lukyanenko with his son, who's 15, is some parents despair of getting their children back from the system when they've been forced adoption or forced into long-term foster care. And so and I'm not accusing Eugene of this whatsoever. He's battled on every possible front. But many or some parents will say to themselves, well, I'll just wait till they're 18 and then they'll be free and then they'll come home. And I don't know how many people noticed that the law changed where social services can actually extend keeping children in care until the age of 25. And then, as happened with Heather, the mother of BINNIAM Brown, they can say, oh, sorry, we've lost him. We can't find him. Lost in the system. No, sorry, can't give you any details. And so we're talking sometimes people that are, trafficked as children and never are found, even if they manage to survive, which we do believe BINNIAM has at least survived. So Heather's found out who fostered her children and is very disturbed and distraught that such people were deigned a safe haven for her stolen son. But she also has reason to believe that that family know where he is and are exerting some kind of influence and control, and that he's possibly in danger. So this is why I can't go into every single case in every single detail, and I'm often just a conduit. But I'm happy to be a conduit where there are children, even if they're now grown, where there are children still lost in a, for the most part, diabolical system. So I'll go through, it connects bizarrely with the Stephen Lawrence murder. And given that I haven't lived in the UK for a long time, even though I was raised in the military, so I was also born in Germany, lived in Gibraltar, and then I lived in Spain, I lived in America. So I am half English, but I can't, I'm more a world citizen, I suppose. So I didn't follow in great detail the Stephen Lawrence case, the young black man that was murdered. Although it's not the first time this case, and the fact that it may not have been resolved as was indicated, was I had an ex-policeman that worked closely with me for several months, and one of the biggest compliments he gave me was he described me as somebody having more front than Sainsbury's. So his name has been out there in the past, but he was a veteran and also an ex-policeman and whistleblower, and had some very profound information on the Stephen Lawrence case, which I still have in email form. So I think the best thing I can do is to link himself. If you're listening, RC, I'd really like to put you in touch with Heather, because it's connected to the people that had her child and possibly still do. Heather's been in touch with Crime Stoppers and police, detectives, and so on. And despite one of the families being quite notorious connected to this case, they've assured her that she's not in danger, her life's not in danger. And as far as I can tell, and you never can fully tell with the police, although there are good coppers still, but as far as I can tell, they're actively assisting in the search for her now grown son that's still not located and not not free yet. So I'll just read a sample of the messages I've had from Heather on this subject. And as I say, when hopefully if RC and Heather get together, they can fill in some of the dots for each other. So let's see the last message. Right. I'll go back a few. We've kind of messaged a lot in the last 24 hours. And as I say, I'm not hugely familiar with the Stephen Lawrence case, but I have interviewed Heather in the past about her son being taken age 6 and still not being able to locate him. Probably now 27. And just being told by social services is, first of all, oh, we're keeping him till he's 25, and then, oops, sorry, we've lost track of him. So, sorry about the delay, people. Now, at first, Heather is understandably a bit upset. She says urgent. And then she said, she had reason to believe her life was in danger for a while. So the foster family, who had been threatening and aggressive, this was the foster family that her beautiful, beloved only son was given to by social services. It's connected to the Stephen Lawrence murder. They had my son. Somebody connected to them agreed to help me, but wanted to know my whereabouts and etc. The name Kenny Noy has been brought into the mix, and the Lawrence knife man has been named to me last night. This is why she felt her life was in danger to some extent. I risk the Noise firm, which is apparently a well-known crime family, targeting me. And then she says, even at her mature age, she would be happy to have a good fist and feet fight, but these days weapons and knives tends to be used in real life and online cyber terrorism online. But anyway, she says that's not his style. His son stabbed Stephen. This is quote unquote. I'm just reporting the intel that's been given to Heather. That's why the police have covered it up. You should look at this. And I replied, I can't solve everybody's problems. I need to solve some of my own. And then it says, Dwayne Brooks knows and has kept stum. He never even spoke to Dee about anything that happened. Threats about the safety of Dee have been made to me. The police have been informed, and Lady Lawrence staff also informed. And then she talked about being very distraught, which is understandable. and then agrees to link up with RC, who was the ex-policeman who had some intel on that case too, in the cover-up. This gang family are infighting. It's about money. They could easily kill my son. He's a commodity. As I say, as a mother, I would fight anybody on the street, but that's not the way things work these days. They admit to abusing my son. I called Crime Stoppers about this. Noy's son being alleged stabber. Maybe going online and involving anti-racist groups and getting people to join and putting pressure would work. So she's just reached out to me and said, you know, look, here's this intel, here's the danger, help. So with good reason to say we know now who murdered Stephen Lawrence, and I was told my son will be next. Wow. Then she says, I don't fear gangsters or paramilitaries. She's been through so much. You know, there is a point where you get to no fear. And then she says, I missed this. Does the Aussie, she's referring to Arthur Katow, I think, does he know about the Stephen Lawrence case? Maybe he's a bit wild, but do you know who would go after Noyes and co, Big Star, even Tracy Morris? It's interesting because Heather has joined some dots with the loyalist paramilitaries in the north. So she would be at their houses with a megaphone. Well, I'm sure Dee, right, and so I'm just giving outlines here. She gives me permission to include the outline of this in my update. I'm sure the public in Bexley are also sick of thugs. Thugs are generally cowards. They're not even willing to face little old me without weapons. Wow. Take your licks, I say, to the likes of Kenny Noy, she says. And what of these crooked cops? And then she says, I've spoken to Crime Stoppers. It seems they were waiting for me to contact them. So please issue a warning from Ireland to Noy. And basically all I'm saying is if anybody's going to do nefarious taking out of a mother looking for her son, or that son at 27 who is still vulnerable and still missing, all I can say from here without an in-depth knowledge of the case is that if anything happens to either of those people, the perpetrators will be making themselves famous, not only regarding BINNIAM Brown, but it looks like it would reopen unresolved issues with the Stephen Lawrence case. So just see if there's any further updates on that. I'll just give the last. So a cartel of families are running everything in the area. Binny told me that Linda was going after a 4-year-old to get her from her mother also. I managed to put a stop to that. She used to stalk the streets and supermarkets looking for people to target. They are all in on it. Plus there are large gangs in the area such as the RA, Red Alert, Racial Attack, and the Slade Green massive patrolling the streets, and not just kids are in there in these things, also crooked cops and councillors, etc. And then she talks about the dole boy. I think the dole boy is called Joseph. He would have been about 5 when the murder took place. But from what I gather, his parents and grandparents were involved, and their gangs, and these gangs. Somebody connected to them was following me around in a white van some years ago, shouting threats and abuse. And then she talks about trying to say to Eugene, look, Yananka, don't just, and probably not to him because he is fighting and he's never given up. But saying, I guess, to parents in general, don't think, well, I'll just wait till my children are 18 and then they'll come home, because certainly if your children were, as you suspect, trafficked and wrongly taken and abused in care, it's unlikely that they will just simply be popped back home when they're 18 to recover and disclose further. So, as I say, there's more to look at on this case. At the moment, Heather doesn't feel, even though the police have assured her that her life is not in danger and that they're onto the case, she doesn't feel comfortable going on camera at the moment. But I will keep an eye on this case. It would be wonderful to have a good ending to the just breathtaking quest of a mother to find her son for the last 20 years and more. So please pray that BINNIAM is he's been found, similar to the Hampstead children. They've been found, and my prayer is that they be rescued, and the evil be exposed and cancelled out. And I just make an appeal for I don't know. People get cross with me for being a pacifist, but I just know that gang warfare doesn't solve anything. It just makes a few more decades, and many more children end up brutalized. So, I would obviously, my choice would always be a peaceful conclusion, but obviously justice and retribution, not vigilante retribution, but proper justice for those that have done wrong. And believe me, there's a whole pyramid of people that have done wrong in this case. So that's part 2 of June, July update. And as I say, I'm going to do them all in little bite-sized sections and perhaps put them all together in a blog. So thank you very much. God bless. Please share this and please subscribe to my